Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm with Toby, I'm in Exeter. I'm looking at his B-Reg 84 Mark III Capri. This car started out as base model 1.6, probably the lowest model that it could have been. But now, in recent years, it's been transformed into a car that definitely isn't a 1.6 anymore. So nice to meet you, Toby.
Lovely to meet you too, Finley.
Yeah, good to meet you. So how did you come to own a car like this?
I was in a position to get, I've always loved old Fords. My first car was a Sierra 2.0 GLSI.
Nice, yeah.
Which I used to happily, drift around and enjoyed. So I've always liked old Fords. Didn't really get a chance. Had years where I just kind of had normal dailies, but was always reading like classic Ford, retro Ford, that kind of stuff. And then, I suppose about 10 years ago, I got into a position where I could have a second fun car. Ended up with a BMW 325 M Sport, which was wicked fun, loved it. And then sold that again and was thinking, right, now's the time to get a classic Ford, because if I don't do it now, I'll never be able to afford it. No. Looked at Mark II, Escorts, Mark 1s as well, because I like them, Granadas. But I don't know, the shape of the Capri's always done a little something for me. I think it's got a really, and they've aged. I remember kind of taking a mickey out of them in the 80s a little bit. And I'm bizarrely, even when I was cleaning it this morning, one of the few people who doesn't have a Capri story, like their dad or their uncle.
No.
None of my relatives had them, but I always just quite liked them. And then saw this one, went out and looked at it, and it was immaculate and perfect. And I thought, there's a couple of things I could do to make it my own, but like all the hard graft had been done by the previous owner. So I thought, why not? I could afford it, so I
went
got it. Finally had a garage so I could keep it somewhere nice so it didn't rot out on me. And yeah, that was 4 years ago, and here we are today with a few changes I've made.
So this has been painted. It's not an original Ford colour.
No, it's VW flame rot, 2-pack paint, no clear. I think the guy I bought it off built it, and he's a proper South London lad, and he had one of his mates who worked at a proper coach works. Do it, and so he had lots of kind of friends of friends who did stuff, because the dash is a custom leather to match the seats, which was done by some old gaffer who used to work at the Rolls-Royce factory. Lots of, so like I always think,
it's had a lot of hands working on it, basically.
Yeah, and it's years. I always think South London is kind of the spiritual home for certainly Pinto driven. Yeah. It's obviously got a different front splitter on it, bumper. This is a fiberglass rep from Capri World, I believe.
Right. And so you said it was it's based on a Zaxby's one, is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, someone will no doubt correct us if we're wrong in the comments. But yeah, it's a Zaxby's one. It's terrible for stone chips, but I've got a mate who does painting, and he very kindly made me up a perfect match and taught me how to dab them in. I take them out every now and again.
Okay, so this rear spoiler is a RS option spoiler?
Yeah, RS option. So they were around. It's a proper Ford product. It's it's that kind of squidgy black rubberized stuff. Around at the time. Again, I wasn't sure about it at the start, but it's really grown on me, and I don't know. There's so few options. The other option is your bog standard Capri rear spoiler, or there's an RGA one which looks almost the same. So it's another way which you can actually stand out.
With this being a genuine Ford spoiler, I've never actually seen one ever. I didn't know this was even an option on Capri's. It must be a hell of a lot of money for one of these.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much they're worth right now, but I remember when I bought the car, they were going for like 500, 700 quid. I'm assuming they probably haven't got that much cheaper. I bought a spare fiberglass one off a mate, which I was thinking about doing some stuff with, but then it just sat around in the garage for 2 years. So I flogged that a couple of years ago, and I think that was 350 quid or something like that then, just for the rub. And that was for a fairly rough fiberglass one, which still needed a fair bit of stuff doing to it. So.
And so with the exhaust system, what have you got going on?
So when I originally bought it again, it was a good exhaust for power, but not great for getting over speed bumps or talking. Being able to think after you've driven. So I went and got a guy at Hilltop Services to build me a really nice custom mild steel one, because it's, again, I think it sounds better, it's more period. So we did a 2.5-inch system from the manifold back, goes over the lots of clearance, haven't scraped it on anything. And then he was kind enough when I got the image wheels, because they were that much wider, he then modified it again to make sure it gave me decent clearance on the inside edges of the rear wheels, so I wasn't melting my expensive tyres. If I'm going to melt them, I want to do it by driving them.
No, that's it. I think it looks. It could well be a standard exhaust from looking at it.
Yeah, it's not huge, and it's not, you know, it's shiny enough for people to notice, but it's not, you know, a massive 3-inch tailpipe.
And so, what wheels are you running?
So I've got, these are custom made by Image. I've always fancied, I love turbo style wheels. And I know a lot of people, it's a divider, but for me, I love them. But yeah, I had them done by, it was just at the start of lockdown 1. Right. So I'd ordered them and then we went lockdown. So it took a bit longer. But yeah, so they're 7x15 on the front with 195s, Yokohama AD08 RSs. And on the rear, they're 7.5.
And so, what have we got going on with the interior then? So
interior, again, this was all done by the previous owner. It's got a full Bricklands grey leather interior, and then he very kindly got a mate to do leather on the dash, glove box, gearbox surround, gear gaiter surround, and the handbrake gaiter as well, so they're all matching, rather than go for kind of like a traditional Ford like RS 3-spoke wheel or something like that. It's got a kind of a really deep dish kind of American muscle car steering wheel. Can't remember the name of it, but it's nice having a slightly bigger one as well, because there's no power steering, so it gives you a little bit of a...
No, exactly. And so what suspension what kind of suspension setup
are you
running?
It's got adjustable coilovers on the front. I honestly can't remember which ones they are. I think they're Blinstein or Bilstein. There we are. Edit that, please. Bilstein inserts, but it's not too low. And then on the back, it's still on multi-spring lease, but with an uprated damper.
Okay. Oh, so that's what's made it a bit lower, is it?
Well, I think that and the fact that the springs are, you know, they've mellowed with age.
Mellowed. Do you want to have a look under the bonnet?
Yeah, happily. I'll pop the hood.
Okay, so do you just want to tell me what you got going on in the engine bay?
Yeah, so it's a 2.1 Pinto, built by Vulcan, with pretty much everything that you can throw at a Pinto at it. So it's got a decked head, Ultimax head, steel rods, forged and pocketed pistons, HT1E camshaft, 421 exhaust manifold, twin Weber 45s with 36 chokes. It did have 38s in there when I bought it, and it was running at about 200, 205, I think it was. It was, as I said earlier, it was just it was fun to drive if you were absolutely leathering it, but it was just a dog for the rest of the time. I took it to the garage at Tipton St John, who are amazing with this stuff. The guy's a carb whisperer, and he had it for a while, rolling it, and he got it, so it's now running at 185. And then obviously it's got illumination, so it's got electronic ignition, and Kenlo fan instead of the original, so there's no actual fan you can see on the front. That's been taken off. It's running without and on solid engine mounts, so when we're kind of trundling along, you'll see the bonnet shaking itself away.
Vibration.
Oil catch can, just in case. And I think that's about it, really.
Okay, so the car is actually for sale?
Yeah, I've listed it on Facebook and one Facebook group at the currently, and it's on Piston Heads as well. Okay. But obviously I thought, seeing as we're doing this, I'll stick more adverts up once this is up, because then I can obviously use it in the ad, which will be nice. And I don't use it enough. I did 300 miles last year, 500 the year before. I've got 2 young kids now, and the days when I could spend a day at a car show or go away for weekends with the boys to a car show are just non-existent. So I think there's probably something I could be, and I've only got one space in the garage for a toy, so if I'm not using it, there's probably something I could be using a little bit more often.
No. Okay, do you want to go out for a drive in it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant, let's do it. Alright everyone, we're out in the Capri now. We're just at the bottom of Exeter. going out the back towards Crediton on a nice straight bit of road. It does go, doesn't it?
It's not too bad. I mean, you know, compared to a modern car, it's pretty slow and agricultural. But
I think that was very quick off the line.
Yeah, I've got a draggy at home, but I'll be honest, I've never used it in here. I thought about charging up this morning, but then my 3.5-year-old came up with a list of things she wanted to be doing, so got somewhat sidetracked. But certainly, I think the noise adds to the drama of it and stuff, and it's it's not always how quickly you get there. It's the style in which you arrive.
Oh my God, that goes. That really does. It's just the right amount of usable power, isn't it?
Yeah,
you can still plant it around the corner.
Yeah, I think that's because I've had big power cars and you end up driving them on a quarter throttle the entire time because there's nowhere that exists.
You'd like to be able to actually put your foot down.
Put it down, and it's much more fun actually being able to take something near its limits rather than sitting so far back from it. You're effectively, the car's doing it all for you.
Yeah. Good setup this is. It's perfect balance between being able to just drive it normally and being able to go flat out when you feel like it.
Yeah, and I can take the, I don't have seat belts in the rear, which is a bit of a negative, but I can stick, my 3.5-year-old loves it.
Yeah.
She thinks it's brilliant because A, she gets to sit in the front, but it's not so noisy that I can't, if I'm taking her to a car show or something, we can trundle along at 2,000-3,000 revs, have a conversation, and I don't feel like I've got to put her in a set of ear defenders.
No,
yeah, well, I mean, the cost of this Pinto, if you to get up to 185, 190, 200 brake horsepower on a Pinto, I saw a couple second-hand on a Facebook group last week, and 7.5, 8 grand. To have one built for you new. Well, not new, but reconditioned.
Probably double that.
Yeah, certainly you're going to be looking at about 10 these days, and it's wicked. I love it. It's very noisy, but I think there are, and it's original.
Right, we've just got back to Toby's house now. I've had a really good day in this, and it's definitely a very quick car. And from looking at it, this car is pretty immaculate all the way around. There might be a couple of things you could nitpick at, but really for a 40-odd-year-old Ford, this is about as good as it gets, to be honest. So yeah, thanks very much, mate. I really appreciate
pleasure.
spending the day with me.
Yeah. If you're watching it and you fancy a show-ready red Capri with a 2.1 Pinto, it is available. I think Finley's going to be kind enough to
put some of these details
put the links
in the description below. All right, perfect. Thanks very much. Cheers.